As far as a recap, just to get everyone on the same page, this campaign actually was a multifaceted campaign that we ran. We realized that we needed to change the name now, given our growth goals, and Chris will mention a little bit more about that. But what we were doing is we were actually going to replace the name Lynchburg with another name or names, and we were going to intend to keep the same logo. And in exchange for that, we were going to offer the chance to win $25,000. So that's a little bit outrageous, but we wanted to be a little outrageous just so people understood that we were a little serious. But in order to convince people that we were serious, we had to have kind of a multi-channel approach. So that means television and billboards and radio and Facebook, which we wound up actually having quite a big response from. So we also had a secondary prize. So once contestants actually submitted their name, they got an email, and that email confirmed that they actually entered that primary contest. But also invited them to enter our secondary contest, which had a grand prize of $10,000. And we were going to award that to the person that shared their unique website address or URL to the contest with the most family and friends. And so that person we were going to get, obviously, we were going to give them $10,000 as well. So just a bit of numbers, just so everyone kind of understands the impact. We were thrilled with the overall impact that this had. The total participants in the contest wound up being 788,641 people. Contestants, the official contestants that actually submitted a name was 77,809. The unique contest name ideas, there were 49,245, so there certainly were some repeats. Total gifts sent on Facebook, I don't know if anyone heard about that, but there was a lot of gifts sent. There was actually 8,713 gifts. We're all tired of gifts at this point. The total states represented from contestants that submitted was all 50 states. We got all 50. And then we actually also had 76 countries represented that they submitted. So there were some people that didn't read the terms and conditions, but that's okay with us. Overall, we were absolutely thrilled with the participation that we got with this. One of our main objectives was obviously to let people know and invite the community to be a key and pivotal role in our current company as well as our future company. And it's an amazing opportunity that we wound up kind of inviting everyone, but we were kind of blown away just by how much the community really enjoyed this contest. It was an exciting thing for most people. They really took ownership of their suggestion, so it was really neat to see how much they went to bat for their suggestion and told people. So we wanted to let everyone know, obviously, that we need to change our name, and what better way to give some cold hard cash. So at this time, I'm going to invite Chris, who is a founder and CEO, to the podium, and he has a few opening remarks as well. Sure.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you all for coming this morning. This contest really has been so much fun. We had a lot of fun with it. One of the things that Brian did for me is he set up a screen share, and he had like I'm not a techie, but where I could see on my cell phone how many people were on our site at all times. So I was walking around my cell phone like this, watching. But it was, it was just fun to watch the spikes. You could actually see when the TV commercials ran, because the numbers would go psh and come back down, and it was just, we had a lot of fun. As he mentioned, one of the things, I kind of thought that people would engage, because who doesn't want $25,000 for a 20-second investment? I mean, what do you have to lose? But I didn't anticipate how much fun people would have. I mean, I can't go anywhere to right now without people stop. I mean, it seems like 50% of the people I pass stop me and ask me, hey, have you chosen a name yet? Does the winner know? What's their name? Oh, come on, you can tell me. So it just, and they tell me how much fun they have. I mean, like, I've heard stories about families sitting around at dinner talking about it, about employees sitting at their desk wasting time on a logo generator instead of work. So maybe productivity will go up in this area now that this thing's over. But yeah, I mean, the sheer volume of the response it just exceeded what we expected. We've had a lot of fun. Brian's probably happy it's over. I mean, he has been working his butt off for the last 3 weeks. I mean, he's been, I don't know, I didn't ask him, but I bet he's been working 80 to 100 hours a week because he's been monitoring all our social media, sending those 8,000 gifts he talked about. He sent them all personally, like individual responses, which is just crazy. But reading back through them was a lot of fun because he was really witty, and people come back just to see what he was saying to people, which is really interesting. Another thing he mentioned is the size of the prize. We were concerned that if we didn't make it big enough, people would be like, who cares? But if we made it too big, it'd be like, yeah, right. So, but I think we got it about right, and it seems like people had a lot of fun. We would have been really, really slow to, well, let me back up and tell you just a little bit of how we got here. I was a builder, building houses, and when the slowdown happened in the late 2000s, the housing market went away, and I was kind of looking for something to do, and I happened to run into a guy who was just a really good, responsible guy, and I found out he was a roofer. I was in construction, I had some equipment. I said, hey, let's just put an ad in the paper, and we'll do this until the housing market comes back, and then we'll start building again. So, we did that, and the thing just started blowing up. I named it Lynchburg Roofing because I thought, well, we're in Lynchburg. SEO will be easy to search for roofers in Lynchburg. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. Never thought this was going to turn into anything. And but then we got going, and I started to see opportunity. And we started getting requests from Roanoke for, where our reputation, people would refer us over to Roanoke. So we started going over to Roanoke, and that volume of work kept increasing. So we decided to open an office in Roanoke. And at that point, we were like, should we change our name? But it was just, we had such a good reputation. People were looking for us. We actually had a brief, I'm going to talk about trademarking a little later, but I learned about trademarking because one of the ideas we had, and we actually switched for a little bit, was we just made it Roanoke Roofing. We didn't check. Turns out there's another Roanoke Roofing, and we got a cease and desist letter, so we had to abandon that. Ultimately, we ended up deciding to stay with Lynchburg Roofing because we just didn't want to abandon our reputation. However, as we started growing to other markets, it became more and more apparent, because we grew into Charlottesville, and now we've started an office in Midlothian. It became more and more apparent that people who weren't finding out about us through referrals were really, really confused. Because we have to essentially, in our advertising, what we realized is we created a condition where we had to deliver 2 messages before we could even deliver our main message. We basically said, we're from Lynchburg. No, we're not from Lynchburg. Oh yeah, and we're good and you should hire us. And so it made it very, very difficult to communicate our advertising. And one of the things, it was a little thought experiment that I did in my head that really pushed me over the edge, was I thought about watching a Roanoke plumbing truck go down the road here and thinking, would I call them? And the answer is probably not. So unless somebody referred them to me and said, hey, they're awesome, they're in your area, you should call them, they're awesome. So, I make it sound like we arrived at this conclusion really easily. We really didn't. It wasn't until the idea was floated for doing this contest and trying to turn something that's normally negative, a rebrand, into a positive, that kind of pushed us over the edge and said, hey, let's do this. And it turned out even better than I thought. I think we may be exiting our rebrand even more popular than we went in, which is amazing. So, it's like we've taken something scary, and at least on the face of it, it looks like we're exiting. We turned it into a positive thing. We're happy to get ready to reveal our new name. We believe that this name will pay homage to where we came from, but at the same time, it will allow us to grow. We intend to continue to grow north up the eastern seaboard, and it won't won't hamper us. So, you ready, Brian? Two. And there you have it. Cenvar Roofing. One of the things that we had to consider, like I said before we dropped the curtain, we wanted something that would pay homage to where we started. Cenvar, I actually was speaking with our winner, who I'm going to introduce you in a minute, Lynn Wonderly, but she thought of it as Central Virginia Roofing, Cenvar. And it feels the need to be able to be trademarked nationally. I told you we had a little run-in with trademarks really early in the history of our business, and it's a pretty high bar, really. It cannot be descriptive, so like anything that describes roofing is 100% out, and it cannot cause any confusion in the marketplace. So it has to be dissimilar to any other construction company, really. So we got 40, I forget the exact figure, 49-some thousand submissions. Sorting through those was a heck of a task. I mean, you know, we sorted them by letters and length, and then we sorted them alphabetically, and we could eliminate, but still, it was hard. And then we got it down to 2, and we got, in our executive team, we got in this big fight about, you know, which one we liked better. And ultimately, we ended up submitting 2 names over to our IP attorney, the intellectual property attorney. Those were Cenvar and Lyncraft, Lyncraft. So we submitted over the IP attorney. He came back with, it turns out that Lyncraft, there's 2 other construction companies in the Midwest that are named Lincraft. He said there's about a 20% chance that we could actually trademark that. And it takes about 4 months for that whole process to go through, whereas Cenvar is pretty much a home run. So we ended up deciding to move forward with Cenvar. Let's see, what is anything I missed? I don't think so. I mean, you know, from the time the contest ended until we submitted those names over, I mean, you should see the whiteboards in our corporate office. They were just covered with just scribble all over the place. But we're thrilled to have our winner, our primary contest winner, as I mentioned earlier, Laura Wonderly. She's from Stanton, Virginia. She's from our Charlottesville market. Incidentally, the Lyncraft submitter, we never told him how close he came, but he was from the Charlottesville market too. So we're going to go ahead and invite her up here now. Congratulations, Laura.
Thank you.
One thing I forgot to say is I was visiting with her a little bit before the press conference, and you know, we had a lot of people who would come, hang out 4 or 5 minutes, read all the rules, and then go back and brainstorm for days, even weeks, and make lists. And I thought maybe we'd have some sort of dramatic story from her about how she narrowed down to 2 names and she couldn't decide which one to submit. But nope, she saw it on Facebook, went to the site, read the rules in 20 seconds, thought of it, entered it, and done. And she was the only, so like Brian said, we had, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of names that had been submitted multiple times. Hers was the only submission that said, we actually had like 7 Cenvas, C-E-N-V-A, but there was only 1 Cenvar, so she alone.
So congratulations, Laura. That was really exciting. Thank you. We're going to be indebted to you for a long time. But as I mentioned earlier, the $25,000 grand prize is not the only winner that we have here today. There was a secondary contest. As I mentioned before, the whole point of what that was is effectively someone that would get the most family and friends to go and submit a name or an idea. There were some people that wound up saying, you know what, I've got like 5 ideas and I can only submit 1, so I'm gonna find 4 friends and give them the name, and then they'll, you know, split the check after, you know, once everything's done. But Our winner of that secondary contest is Tammy Tomlin, and Tammy's actually from Arrington, Virginia, right up the road, right in between here and Charlottesville. And she got 85 of her family and friends to go directly from her link and submit through the contest. Tammy recently shared, actually, that she is recently retired after 30-some years, I believe, being in the school system, fourth grade teacher, and she's also a cancer survivor. She beat that, and now she has $10,000 as a good retirement gift. So we'll bring her up, and then she can accept this check on behalf of the moniker that she now has, a biggest fan. All right,
Great.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So at this time, we really are concluding our press conference. If there were questions that we could answer that maybe everyone has, by all means, we can do that. If not, we'll open it up for interviews. We'll move this podium aside. We're going to get some pictures taken with some of the winners, obviously, the new name. And obviously, we will be available for interviews. And if you wanted to pull Chris aside, or Tammy or Laura, they'll be sticking around just for a little bit. So feel free to give them, ask them any questions you'd like. But without further ado, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.